I think it's important for the whole world to realize that the first victim of this whole situation were the people of Iran, with a regime that is at war with them, let alone the rest of the region, and perhaps beyond that. The policy of appeasement and laissez-faire has led us to where we are today. Look, as long as you are in the optic, and I'm not isolating Washington only, I'm talking about Europe as well. If you are focused yet again on whether or not we can appease this regime and cut a deal with them and negotiate with them, and in a way expect a behavior change from this regime, that simply means that we have yet to understand the DNA and nature of the system. As opposed to say our best allies are the people of Iran, why don't we help them for a change and let them have a chance? We could have a different situation in the Middle East without this regime. But as long as this regime is going to be there, none of the threats and the consequences of its behavior will be eliminated. And sadly, as you referred to October 7th and that attack, this clearly shows, especially when Ayatollah Khamenei actually defends that act and justifies it.
The Palestinian people have a lawful right to defend themselves, to stand up to those criminals, those occupation forces. There is not a single court or international organization to object to the Palestinians' lawful established rights to defend themselves against the Israeli occupation forces. They cannot blame the Palestinian people on the basis of any rule or law to challenge the Lebanese people or the Palestinian people simply for defending their homeland. This established principle is cherished in every single law. The Islamic laws of defense, the Iranian constitution, as well as the international man-made laws, all of which have laid down the rules of defense. Even the man-made laws, which were not drafted by us, all of which have laid down the rules of self-defense. Each and every country, each and every people has the ultimate right to defend itself against any outside tyranny. These words literally mean that the Palestinian people has this ultimate right to defend themselves against the enemy who has occupied their land, killed their children, and destroyed their homes and farmlands. This is a basic principle cherished in all constitutions and the law.
Where exactly they stand, as opposed to the Iranian people who have clearly demonstrated that this regime has nothing to do with their aspirations. And I'm glad that leaders such as Prime Minister Netanyahu does make that distinction. And it has to be right now a distinction that I hope many leaders around the world will make between the people of Iran and this regime. I think the Iranian people will be the first one to tell all of us that they realize that if they are in a position to show the whole world and our region, our neighbors, whether they're Arabs or Jews or Muslims or Christians or whatever faith they represent, that we want peace with them. We want to be able to have cordial relations with them. We want to build a better future for all of us in that region that we can all collectively benefit from. And what stands between us, the Iranian people, and the rest of the world and our neighbors is this regime. And as long as this regime is there, our primary duty is to do our part in getting rid of it, but we will hope that the world this time stands with us, as opposed to continue trying to negotiate deals with a regime that cannot be trusted, that has proven time and again that its only objective is to use every resource of my country to export its ideology at the expense of the Iranian people themselves.
How it is possible that Iran was able to generate so many billions of dollars to support these terrorist proxies.
$100+ billion that the regime had access to a couple years ago, closing into what happened and ultimately led to empowering it to support its proxies, including Hezbollah and Hamas, of course. didn't come from nowhere. If those oil sanctions were imposed, that would be 100 billion less for the regime to spend. Not to mention, of course, the ransom money for hostages that was also paid to the regime, about $6.5 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And so all of this money is not going to, help Iranian workers who are being not paid their salaries for a long time. Instead, it goes to support the proxies. Well, if you're talking overall about how much money the regime depends on to maintain its own war machine going, finance its nuclear program, pay wages to their hired help, and address some aspects of running the country, it's got to give at some point. They cannot sustain that kind of expenditure, especially if they are short on revenue. So if they in fact provoke more escalation to the point that they may be deprived of that ability, it will create an incredible economic shock to the nation that will not be advantageous even to the regime itself. Today, it's been about almost 1 week that the Iranian stock market has been dropping. The dollar is more expensive now. So this is even before anything happens. These are all correlated. So I don't know how crazy or lunacy the leader in Iran has in mind to continue this warmongering. They already have shot themselves in the foot. So it's a lose-lose proposition either way. What I care about, however, is, of course, the welfare of my compatriots. I don't want to see them yet again suffer from the consequences of this conflict. And as I said, the ultimate solution is for this regime to no longer be there. And the best opportunity exists right now, not only for our friends in the region, but for the whole world, to understand that a change of regime in Iran will put an end to all of these problems. So we don't have to worry about maritime traffic and oil prices going up because there is going to be some Houthis striking commercial ships, or everything else that you have there, the nuclear threat, the proliferation of this ideology. Period. The end of this regime will mean an end to all these problems.